Hello and welcome back everyone, it's Carrie. Today I'm going to be doing two cards featuring this technique that I have done once before on my channel called Spotlight Embossed Resist. And I'm going to be using the same paper pad that I used in the video before. And if you haven't used that or seen that video already, I will go ahead and link it here in the cards above. But I'm going to be using this Kaiser Craft 6.5 by 6.5 paper pad here, and it's got these already embossed papers in them. They're white and they've already got some embossing on them, and it's the perfect papers to go ahead and take advantage of the embossing that's on them to do the embossed resist technique. But I thought I would go ahead and step it up a little bit and do like a spotlight where I am taking a frame die or a shaped die. In this instance it's going to be a heart, and I'm spotlighting an area on that piece of 6 by 6 or 6.5 by 6.5 pattern paper to do some inking on, and then it's going to resist all that embossing. So I'm just showing you the elements that I'm using today. I've got this frame die here from Concord & Ninth, and it's a heart die. And also I'm just using a regular rectangle die from Hero Arts. It's one of their infinity rectangle sets. And I'm just choosing a size to create a focal point. And that's what I'm going to start off with first, is my rectangle spotlight here. So I am going to be using a Distress Oxide inks for my technique today. And I've got two colors, and I've got the Twisted Citron and also Lucky Clover. And I wanted to really accentuate the leaves. That's what I feel like they are, leaves in this pattern here. So, and I'm no rhyme or reason as I'm putting down this ink. I'm just loosely putting down the ink in various areas. No rhyme or reason, like I mentioned. But I do want to make sure that I do overlap the colors as I'm putting them down, because I want them to blend really well. So I'm really making sure that I'm careful, because my mask that I cut out does not cover the entire width or length of this paper here. So I'm just making sure that I don't go outside of my masking paper. So as I continue on, I'm going to make sure that I do blend the colors and really get this ink down really well and covered on this little rectangle area. So I'm going to continue on to do my inking, and you will see that these inks really do blend well together. The Oxide inks are awesome when it comes to blending. The Distress inks are too, but it seems like since these Distress inks, Oxide inks have that pigment property in them, they really take it on an easier way whenever it comes to blending. So I'm going to continue to add on the full color and get it to where I'm really happy with all the variation in color. And once I am happy, I'm going to go ahead and remove the excess embossed or ink that's laying on the embossing, just taking my little rag here and just removing that with my cloth with all that embossing on there, or the ink rather, that's pulled up on that embossing. And then the fun happens whenever you remove all that mask and you see that what's left behind is this, like I said, Spotlight Embossed Resist. And it's flat, and it looks like you've got layers of either pattern paper or whatever onto this panel. It's really a cool technique. So I'm going to go ahead and speed up the video just a little bit more and continue on with the other card that I did today, which is with the heart die. And I chose two other colors, Wilted Violet and Picked Raspberry, for these two colors. And again, I am no rhyme or reason adding these colors onto this panel here. I want them to be really variegated, I guess, in color, because I want them to kind of look like a marbled effect here. Because I don't want it, one like color concentrated at the top or one color concentrated at the bottom. I want them to be mixed a little bit, and it's really going to give a nice effect to this heart. So as I continue on to blend the colors, I want to make sure that I'm getting really good inked, especially around the edges, because it really does matter on, well, any dye that you use, but especially with this heart, because obviously it's not a full, what am I trying to say? A heart, if you don't have full ink on around the whole entire heart, it just doesn't look right. So you see there, I've got all that inking really good on that paper there. Now I'm going to take my rag and again remove all of that embossing or the ink that has pulled up on that embossing. Really, really fun. I really highly recommend everyone trying this technique. It's really a cool effect and you see it in real life. So go ahead and finishing up these cards with this sentiment set here from the stamp market. And I have chosen to stamp down my sentiments onto vellum because I don't want to take away from the technique that we did. I want the sentiment to stand out, but I don't want to cover up what we did with all the inking. So to do that, to achieve that, it's really good idea to use vellum in this case. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp down both of my sentiments with Versamark ink. As you did see, I did go ahead and prep both of these panels with my powder tool because obviously I'm going to be doing some embossing. And I'm going to take the chance of doing my embossing with some black embossing powder. I've said in the past where I normally don't like black embossing powder because it's, for some reason or another, it's messier than other embossing powders. But for today, I thought I'd go ahead and take the chance and use black, and it turned out just fine. You really got to make sure that you really prep your area really well with the powder tool. I will say that. So I did go ahead and heat set that with my heat gun, and I did the same thing with the other sentiment that I used from my other card. So I'm going to take this one here and just wrap the vellum around my panel here, and I'm going to cheat by just putting down some regular Scotch tape and tape down the ends, and nobody will never know the difference. So you want to make sure that you get a really good crease on that vellum around those ends and make sure that it's really good and straight, because obviously vellum, I don't have any adhesive other than the tape on the back. So I really got to make sure this is good and tight. It did leave a little bit of room on the front, and I mean, you could put a little something in between, but that didn't bother me at all. And of course, I'm going to add some foam adhesive on the back of this as well, and that will also anchor it a little bit more to my card base. So I'm going to go ahead and add that foam tape now and get that all good and covered, and make sure that that is going to, because look, obviously the pattern paper is thinner, so I want it to be really good and substantial on my card base. Then for my other sentiment for the first card that we did, I'm going to just cut it out with scissors, freehand it, cut it out, and really, really simple, because obviously it's not too of a complicated sentiment to cut around. So I'm just taking my scissors and hand cutting that around, and then I'm going to take my multi-matte medium from Ranger here, and I'm going to add little dots of glue on the back of my sentiment, because since this sentiment is thicker, I guess you will, on that sentiment, it does not take any time at all to add those little dots. So I'm going to just go ahead and show you the completed both cards. I added both of these to a coordinating color cardstock card base, and then I just added some Lucy's cards, Rainbow Jewels, to add a little bit more accent to both of the cards. And that will complete this tutorial, guys. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you got inspired to try this for yourself. Please leave me a comment if you ever, if you have any questions, or if you do this, try this for yourself. Thank you guys so much for watching my channel. I really do appreciate it. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and I will catch you on my next video. Bye-bye.